Hello, and welcome to the weekly Right Now Oregon News Show. I'm Alex McCadden, reporting from Lebanon. First story of the week, Representative Shelley Bossart Davis continued her District 15 service and support tour. This time she visited ABC House, an intake center for child abuse victims. In remarks on the Senate floor, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell urged the U.S. government to support Israel. He also cautioned against terrorist claims. Senator David Brock Smith released a constituent newsletter. He discussed a repeal of Measure 110, a visit to the local Rotary Club, the Oregon Republican Platform Convention, and more. Representative Tracy Kramer visited the Marion County Elections Office. The county clerk and his staff demonstrated common election day operations. This week's episode of Oregon Tolling Updates featured the second part of a discussion on voting for IP4. You can listen to the podcast on Substack. The Northwest Observer published an article about efforts by the Oregon Secretary of State to seek and destroy opposing speech. You can read the article on northwestobserver.com. Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer backed a bipartisan bill to invest in rural schools. The Secure Rural Schools Reauthorization Act of 2023 will renew a key program that provides funding for schools as well as public safety and fire prevention efforts in counties with tax-exempt federal forest lands. Congressman Earl Blumenauer of Portland announced that he is not running for re-election. He has represented Multnomah, Clackamas, and Hood River counties in Congress since 1996. State Senator Denise Bowles was endorsed by 3 state senators in her campaign for Congressional District 6. Her new supporters include Senators Daniel Bonham, Kim Thatcher, and Fred Girod. OFA Media released their most recent episode of the Cold Hard Truth podcast. Host David Medina interviewed Portland Democrat State Representative Travis Nelson. In remarks delivered on the Senate floor, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said that the Biden administration's response to the border crisis is failing to a historic and catastrophic degree. Oregon Tolling Updates published an article about tolling alternatives ODOT will not consider for a while. You can read that article on Substack. The Northwest Observer published an article about an Oregon surgeon who was exposed by new Speaker Mike Johnson. You can read the article on Northwest Observer. Representative Shelley Bossart Davis continued her District 15 service and support tour. This time she visited Lynn Benton Community College. Clackamas County held a property tax town hall via teleconference on November 1st. You can watch a recording of the town hall on YouTube. Following a push from Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer, a proposal to prevent federal funding for tolling in Oregon was included in a key congressional transportation package. The proposed addition to H.R. 4820 would prevent federal funds from being used to carry out tolling projects along I-5 and I-205 in Oregon. The Lynn County Board of Commissioners approved a feasibility study for developing a 24-hour crisis receiving center. Lynn County already provides mental health crisis service during customary business hours and has a crisis van for providing crisis services in rural areas around the clock. The crisis receiving center would provide short-term assistance at a brick-and-mortar facility. The Clackamas County Board of Commissioners received an expert recommendation to address the addiction crisis. The report is a direct follow-up to the recent Clackamas Addictions Recovery Summit. In remarks delivered on the Senate floor, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said the Senate is taking an important step toward full-year appropriations. Speaker Mike Johnson sat down with Sean Hannity in his first interview as Speaker. You can watch the full interview on Right Now Oregon. Representative Shelley Bossart Davis continued her District 15 service and support tour. This time she visited the Willamette Valley YMCA. Oregon's Democrat Secretary of State LaVon Griffin-Volad released an advisory report on inefficiencies in the state's domestic violence prevention efforts. Her party has controlled these programs since the 1980s. The Portland Teachers Union began striking November 1st. This comes after the State Board of Education voted to suspend graduation requirements for the next 4 years. OFA Media covered the strike on David Medina Live. Multnomah County Commissioner Shashila Jayapal resigned to run in the Democrat primary for Congressional District 3. She is the sister of Pramila Jayapal, one of the members of the far-left congresswoman group known as the Squad. State Representative Christine Goodwin announced she will run for state senate in District 2. Incumbent Senator Art Robinson is not seeking re-election. The Northwest Observer also covered her announcement. The Northwest Observer published a story about Governor Tina Kotek appointing former Multnomah County Sheriff Mike Reese to run the Oregon Department of Corrections. You can read that story on Northwest Observer. OFA's David Medina Live covered the indictment of a Portland homeless activist, Portland school closure, and Oregon spying on citizens. Catch the episode on Right Now Oregon. Representative Shelley Bossart Davis continued her District 15 service and support tour. This time, she visited the Albanese Visitors Association. The legislature ratified a legislative assistant contract with YBEW Local 89. In remarks delivered on the Senate floor, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said that terror and self-defense are not the same thing. Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeReiner joined a bipartisan, bicameral effort to protect migrant children and address the immigration court backlog. The Immigration Court Efficiency and Children's Court Act is a proposal to strengthen due process for vulnerable children and combat the immigration court backlog. Representative Travis Nelson announced that he is considering a congressional run in CD3. He recently told OFA that he is perfectly happy as a state representative. Congressman Cliff Benz introduced an amendment to the Department of Interior Appropriations Bill. You can watch his floor speech on Right Now Oregon. Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeReiner voted to provide Israel with military and security assistance. The Israel Security Supplemental Appropriations Act provides over $14 billion in military aid. The Linn County Sheriff's Office held a drug take-back day on November 4th. The Republican National Committee released a statement on President Joe Biden's Invest in America tour. The RNC is calling the Bankrupting America tour. Representative Shelley Bossart Davis continued her District 15 service and support tour. This time she visited the Boys and Girls Club of Albany. In remarks delivered on the Senate floor, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said the terrorist threats require American leadership, not naivety. Senator David Brock Smith released a constituent newsletter. He covered Oregon business and industry, AI, an engineering wood company, and a United Way fundraiser. Yamhill County workers went on strike. EOL Live TV owner Brent Clapp filed for Union County Commissioner. Editor's note, EOL Live TV is a Right Now Oregon affiliate, and I am an employee of Brent Clapp Media Services, LLC. The Rational Republican podcast covered Israel and Palestine on a new episode. I was a panelist alongside Reagan Knopf of the Oregon 360 show. On this week's episode of my literary podcast, Magic for Us, I interviewed author J.Z. Pitts. J.Z. is publishing his debut novel, Virtual Rebel, Time to Play the Game for Real. The Northwest Observer covered 2 additional stories this week. Oregon Democrat legislators traveled to the White House. The state of Oregon is spending over $2.25 million on Ukraine refugees. This week's episode of Uncommon Sense for 2020 is entitled Civil Disobedience, Is it a Problem or a Solution? You can catch the episode on Right Now Oregon. The Oregon Republican Party is hosting a legislative action day and training for PCPs in Salem on November 6th. PCPs can reach out to their county Republican Central Committees to RSVP. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Remember, you can download the Right Now Oregon app on the Amazon App Store.